Welcome to the Vol Bros, presented by the Ooltewah Club. My name is Evan. This is my brother Rustin, and we are two Vol Bros who are actually bros in real life. And as always, we thank the Ooltewah Club very much for being our title sponsor. Strongly recommend them to anybody. So if you want some good food, good golf, that is the place to go, the Ooltewah Club. And so we appreciate them. We got three big things to talk about this evening. Obviously, the Lady Vols just finished playing just 30 minutes ago against a good LSU team. The men played, well, I don't know if you can technically call it playing, but the men were in attendance at the Gainesville arena on Tuesday night. And absolutely huge news today for Tennessee sports and athletics. Mike Keith has been tabbed as the next voice of the Vols starting in the fall of this year. So a lot happening. Kevin, thank you for joining us, buddy. Kevin says, not been a great week for Tennessee teams. Glad to get with you all tonight. Hey, I appreciate that, Kevin. He said, thank you, Vol Bros and the Ooltewah Club. Smash that like button. I think it's a great idea. Absolutely. Rhonda, good to have you with us. Rhonda said, hey, Vol Bros. Hopefully everyone is staying safe and warm. Amen. I hope so. Moondrop Speedy said, I know the Lady Vols didn't pull out the win tonight, but what a game. We belong again. Amen. They played hard. Talasia Cooper is phenomenal. I would add Jules Spear to that as well. Elijah said, the Lady Vols are right there. A couple bounces go our way, and we're talking about back-to-back wins against top 10 teams. Coach Kim is cooking with what she has. Future is bright. Yeah, I just saw Noel on Twitter say, you lost against two top 10 teams by a total of 3 points. Not bad. That's a great point. Rustin, what'd you take away from the Lady Vols game tonight against LSU?
Doing a much better job with defensive transition. That's a really good, very athletic LSU roster, as evidenced by the winning shot. And we did a good job of turning them in the open court and making them slow down a little bit, stopping straight line drives to the basket. I saw a much better effort across the board. Z Spearman, again, it never comes down to one play, but Z Spearman misses two gimmies within, in the last 40 seconds of the game. If she hits either one of those, we're having a very different conversation right now. Love the play design for the final shot. Can't ask for a better look. They got her a touch right in front of the rim. She was able to catch and gather and go up strong. You can't ask for more than that. And I think the thing that stood out the most to me, it hurt not having Tess Darby tonight. They needed her. They needed somebody else who could stretch the floor. I think if Tess plays, we probably win that game. But I think we learned a lot about the toughness of this bunch. I think we learned a lot about Jules Spear. If you need a big shot, Jules Spear is going to be the person. I kind of wish she wasn't the one inbounding the ball on the final play. I wish she had been out there as a decoy, just to pull one more person away from the basket. Mm-hmm. I didn't really understand her throwing it in, but she also put the pass right where it needed to be. So maybe she's their best passer, and that's why she was throwing it in. But again, as people said, we've lost to two top 10 teams in a week by a total of 3 points and had a shot to win both. This team is going to be dangerous in March. They're going to keep getting better and better. Coach Caldwell and her staff are doing a fantastic job teaching. You can see it. You can tangibly see them getting better in areas that they need to get better in. And I would not want to be on their side of the bracket in March. They're going to be a tough out.
Yeah. When you come out and have a long scoring drought like they did in the first quarter against a very, very good LSU team, and you come back and take the lead in the fourth quarter, you've done something well. The Lady Vols played very well tonight. There's no reason to be upset about that game at all.
Yeah.
Kim Mulkey's been recruiting players for her program for years. This is Kim Caldwell's first year in Knoxville, and she just gave that LSU team everything they wanted and more.
With a makeshift roster that pretty much came out of the portal.
Exactly. I agree with you about Tess Darby. They missed her tonight for several reasons, but if for none other reason than to give Jewel Spear some seconds to breathe on the sideline. I'm curious to go back and look. Somebody can let me know. I think Jewel Spear played at least 6.5 or 7? No, at least 7.5 or 8 minutes of the fourth quarter. I mean, she might not even.
I don't know.
I don't know.
She played 25 minutes total. So she probably came out for a couple of minutes, but
you could tell they were dog tired by the end of it, and that's the way that it's going to be when you're playing for and against Kim Caldwell. Everybody on that court was tired.
Oh wait, no, I misread that. She played 32 minutes. She had 32. Talasia had 30. Ruby Whitehorn and Sam Spencer each played 27, and then the next closest is 20 for Jillian Hollingshed. That's another one. I thought Jillian Hollingshed gave them some fantastic minutes tonight.
Absolutely, played very well.
I think they're still struggling to figure out how to fit her into the offense. But man, when that bulb goes on and she clicks, so she actually plus minus. Jillian Hollingshed was our highest plus minus tonight. She was plus 11 in her minutes. 20 minutes plus 11. Next closest was Sam Spencer at plus 8. So that's a heck of a night for Jillian Hollingshed.
Elijah said the winning shot was just a prayer circus shot, just flat out unlucky on that. Yeah, it was certainly a not high percentage shot. The way she threw it up with her left hand. She's not left-handed, the girl that made it. So kudos to her for making it with her offhand. But I agree, there was quite a bit of luck in that shot. I do agree with Rustin about the last play of the game. I thought it was interesting that Jewel Spear was inbounding the ball. If there had been 0.9 seconds on the clock, I would have thought it was risky because a lot of times teams will have the person who they want ultimately to shoot the ball inbound the ball because they inbound it, they step in, you pass it right back to them, they have a shot. 0.9 seconds, even if that had been the case, that would have been tight. Like it's hard to get off a shot that fast. With 0.7 seconds, it's essentially impossible. So when Jewel Spear was inbounding the ball, I was like, that's weird. Like you would think she would be the person you want shooting the ball. So it
was definitely a design play for Z because if you watch the guards out front, they were not like they were more concerned with running picks and running motion than they were expecting the ball. Like it was obvious they knew they weren't getting the ball. Yeah. So that's the only reason why I think Jewel was throwing it in was I think she's probably their best passer. And they wanted to make sure they threw the best pass possible.
Yeah. I mean, I would be curious to know if Kim Caldwell and their coaching staff had known that there was going to be 0.9 seconds instead of 0.7. I'd be curious to know if they would have drawn up the same play because that 0.2 seconds it's a lot of time actually. I kind of think they would have probably drawn up the same play because it worked. Like I said, you catch the ball right underneath the basket with 0.9 seconds left. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. So nothing negative at all to say about that Lady Vols game tonight. Just they're playing really well, and it's exciting. It's fun to watch. Listen, you lose 2 games to top 10 teams by a total of 3 points. You're going to start winning those games. I mean, very, very close to winning tonight. So, with that being said, let's see what some folks said about that game. And then some folks already chiming in about the men's game. Rhonda mentioned Mike Keith, so I'm saving that one for when we talk about Mike. Jonathan, welcome, buddy. He said, "Hey, Vol Bros in chat. That men's game against Florida is probably the worst game I've ever watched." That's fair. We'll get to that in just a second. Kevin said, "Miss Lady Vols game. I'll have to watch tomorrow." Cindy and I were at the UNC Greensboro UTC game. Game was tied with 3 seconds, and Greensboro hit a runner at the buzzer to win. Oh wow! He said, "Fun times." Kevin said, "The guys losing to Florida also isn't bad, except for how they looked. That game wasn't in the same gene pool as competitive." Tony said, "Hey, Tony, welcome, buddy. Good to have you." He said, "Lady Vols got beat by a better team. Great effort." Yeah, I mean, there's no denying that LSU's probably, they're a better team than us, which is very impressive that our girls played them as tight as they did.
Yeah.
It's very, very promising for the future on Rocky Top. Tony said, "I've been waiting since 1999 for Mike Keith to be the voice of the Vols. Oh, happy day."
And the other thing I'll say, the atmosphere was awesome. And one of the top centers, if not the top center, high school center in America, was there tonight sitting behind the Lady Vol bench. So she's, depending on the rankings you look at, she's anywhere from number 4 to number 6 overall nationally. And she was there. And, and she also got to watch how they use Z Spearman. And she's basically a Z Spearman clone.
And gave Z Spearman the ball to win the game at the end of the game.
Yeah. She's 6'4" with a 6'8" wingspan. And basically a Z Spearman clone. So she got to see firsthand how they would use her. I tell you, she's got the number 2 recruiting class in America. She gets that girl in the class of 26. It's a heck of a start to that class.
Absolutely. Rhonda said, "So happy to get Mike Keith, but we'll miss him with the Titans." I totally understand that. Elijah said there were 2 top-ranked players nationally there tonight. James, welcome, buddy. He said, "Still can't finish." I understand that, but it's hard to watch that Tennessee Lady Vols game tonight and be upset about what you saw.
By no rational logic should we even be in that game. It's a first-year staff with a hodgepodge roster, 4 of which players don't even fit their system, running a brand new system, and facing one of the greatest women's basketball coaches ever with a full roster of her recruits who are also potentially a Final Four team. On paper, we shouldn't even be in that game. So the fact that we had 2 gimmies within the last 40 seconds to potentially win the game, that speaks volumes for Kim Caldwell.
Yeah. It's difficult to be upset about what we saw tonight. When you go back to early December, late December, people were saying, "Well, is this going to translate to SEC play? Is it going to translate? Are they going to be able to? Are they going to be able to play against top 10 teams?" Well, apparently they can.
Ask Kim Mulkey how much it translates.
Yeah.
There was a couple of times I thought she was going to go into labor tonight.
Yeah, that was a weird comment Kim had about Coach Caldwell, saying that she hopes she gives birth right there in the court. She's like, "I've got experience helping birth children or birth babies or something like that." I was like, "What?"
There's nothing normal about Kim Mulkey. Anybody, did you see what, the Nothing But Net Christmas sweater, which, by the way, it's after January, tonight was weird enough. But did you see what she wore at their last game? She had a sweater with a massive basketball on the front of it, and there was a red ring all the way around the sweater and then white strands coming off of it. So her entire outfit looked like a ball going through a hoop.
Nice.
I don't even know where you find this stuff.
Temu.
Yeah. Kim Mulkey, big Temu fan.
Oh man, I enjoyed her halftime interview though with Sarah Detweiler. Is that her name?
Yeah. Oh, you know
That was
ESPN loves doing LSU games because they never know what in the world she's going to say.
it was a really good little halftime interview. I enjoyed that. Um,
It's like interviewing Mike Leach. Like you can ask anything, nothing's off limits, and she'll just
yeah,
talk
for
about
real,
whatever.
for real. Um, let's see some of the other comments coming through. Elijah said, "I'm going to the UConn game on February 6th. Can't wait. It's going to be electric." Oh yeah, man, that's awesome. So it'll be his first Lady Vols game. That's exciting, dude. That's really cool. Um, Austin said, "Men's basketball mulligan brought to you by the Ooltewah Club." I love it. That's great. That's great. James said, he agrees. Nothing. It's hard to be upset about tonight, but missed layups are ridiculous, and the refs were awful.
You can
So
plaster that on every billboard in the Southeastern Conference. I am so over SEC women's basketball refs. They cannot possibly get worse. I think you'd have a better chance of walking out on the court with 3 whistles and doing a random blind draw of 3 fans in the crowd and be like, "All right, it's y'all tonight. Come on down." And
like the
and
price is right.
there's good odds that they'll do a better job. I would be
Yeah.
willing to bet money that I could go in that stadium and find 3 random fans who would do a better job than the slappies that the SEC keeps sending out there who have no clue what they're watching and no clue what they're calling. The the on every single possession, what's a foul? What's a charge? There was about a 5 possession swing where they let them just murder each other, and
Yeah.
then a girl comes down on a breakaway. Jewel Spear goes straight up, doesn't even make contact with her, and they call a foul. And it's like there was a literal assault on the other end of the court just now. There are 2 people down there dead, and you're calling this? Like
Yeah.
it's asinine, and you're just watching it going, I have no concept of what a foul is anymore. I watch
Well,
SEC women's refs, and half the time they just make crap up. Like they're just like, that kind of looked weird. I'll call something. I don't even know what it is, but I'm going to call something. There was one time, and I knew it was going to happen. The minute she put her hand down, Sarah Puckett put her hand
yeah.
down. Girl had the
I was
ball
about
in
to
front
mention
of
that
her.
one exactly.
She put her hand down, and then as she's raising it and taking off of her, the girl raises up and takes a shot, and the lady immediately calls a foul. And it's like, she's not even touching her. Like,
Yeah.
you can't anticipate fouls. You have to actually see them take place.
Yeah.
It
Yeah. And that's what Sarah Puckett turned around. She said, I didn't even touch her. Like I wasn't even touching her. um, yeah. So I was going to mention 2 specific plays. That was one of them actually. And then the other one was, there was a Spearman got a rebound underneath the basket, and she goes back up to
oh my
put it back
word.
up, and the ball goes out of bounds. And
The
I can't
first
remember if they
it was
gave it
the
to LSU or Tennessee, but
They gave it to
um,
LSU. They said she threw it out of bounds. That was the
well,
taller black ref, and when she went up, the girl raked her arm down. Okay,
yeah,
first of all, referee 101, like they teach you this in middle school. If the player's going this way and the ball goes this way, you call foul. You just assume there because science comes into play, and you go, okay, physics. If the player's going this way with the ball, and all of a sudden the ball goes this way, it's because somebody pulled their arm down. You just automatically call a foul because there's no other answer for that. Not only did they not call the foul, they said Z Spearman threw the ball out of bounds. She's going vertical to lay it in and somehow threw the ball that way. Like, I was sitting there, and then they show the replay, and you see the girl literally grab her arm and pull it to the floor.
yeah,
And it's like right in front of him. And it's like, how do you
yeah.
miss this?
Well, that's the thing. So when they showed the replay from the baseline, that was the same angle that the referee had from the baseline, and it is like blatantly obvious the girl doesn't even touch the ball. It's all
No.
like this part of Spearman's arm, like her elbow, and,
Which,
and she just grabbed her
which,
arm.
okay, if you're not going to call the foul, then it's Tennessee's ball. Because if you're not going to call the foul, then you're saying, okay, she blocked it. Because again, science, the player's going this way and the ball goes this way. something happened to change the course and direction of the ball. It didn't just magically fly in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Like it is absolutely infuriating. And I'm not just talking about the Lady Vols. I would encourage anybody, turn on any SEC women's basketball game this week, and you will be shocked at how bad the officiating is. Like it is unparalleled how bad they are compared to the rest of the country.
Yeah, those two calls in particular were special. Those were special calls. Kevin said he's rolling on the floor laughing at your plan. He loves it for picking the referees each game. And then when you mentioned that they were dead at the other end of the court, he said, did they already have the chalk body outlines on the camera panned back to the other end?
Could.
Sam said,
I know for a fact that the Lady Vols game tonight, there were 2 women's college basketball coaches just sitting in the stands with their kids. If you had just chosen the 2 of them and said, hey, we're going to send these 3 packing because they suck at life, you 2 just come down and take care of this, those 2 individuals could have done a better job in street clothes than those 3 refs who got paid to be there. Guarantee it.
Sam, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said the girls need a little practice on trapping players driving the lane. Rhonda said, let me ref. New year, so I'm working out so I can get up and down the court now.
Hey, there was one, not this game, but the Oklahoma game. There was one that had no shot getting up and down the court. She was dying. And I'm sitting there watching. She was the trail ref a couple times. I'm like, she can't call anything. She's still on the other end of the court. It's unbelievable.
Bobby, welcome. Good to have you. He mentioned the men's game, so we're going to get to that in just a second. Austin said that would add an interesting element to the game if there were 10 refs lined up at half court and the head coaches have a draft before the game to decide who calls it. I'd tune in early. That would be awesome, actually. Sign me up for that. I want to see that. That'd be great.
You could throw the 3 in that the SEC assigned and let them stand with them, and I guarantee you the coaches have picked 3 out of the bleachers. They can't stand them either. They drive them insane.
Mississippi Vol, welcome, buddy. He said, hey, guys, you ready for the Winter Wonderland? We better be because it's coming tonight for sure. He said, big time news when Mr. Mike Keith headed home to Knoxville. They knocked it out of the park. I 100% agree. Let's see. Elijah, he liked your plan too. So did Bobby.
My daughter's team, my daughter's 4th and 5th grade team had a game tonight, and it's not rec league, it's school ball, so they have official referees. They're not the wild league refs. And one of the officials is a former college basketball coach. Man is 85 years old, and he's still reffing games. He was a college coach literally 40-something years ago.
Wow.
I would have rolled him out there before the 3 that the SEC put on the court tonight. Because at least with Gene, I know Gene actually knows the rules. He's not going to get to half court. He's going to pretty much stay between the baseline and about the volleyball line. Like that's the extent of how far he can move. But his eyes are still good, and he actually knows the rules. So he would have done a better job at 85 years old than the 3 that the SEC rolled out there tonight.
Maybe we can make a call and put his name in the ring or name in the hat for next week.
I was sitting in the bleachers next to a former coach that I know who I've been meaning to catch up with, and he's a legend. He's got a gym here in town named after him. And I sat down and I saw Gene reffing, and I leaned over to this coach and I said, how old is Gene? And he goes, he's at least 85. He may be pushing 90. And I was like, and that man still gets up and down the court. And he's like, nah, he's going to get to the volleyball line, but he's not going to miss a call because he actually knows what's happening. And he didn't. He didn't miss a call all night. His partner missed like 27, but it didn't matter because my daughter's team was so much better than the other team. But Gene didn't miss a call all night. Man looked like he could drop dead at any second, but he's still doing it. And he would have been better than any of those people the SEC sent tonight.
Mississippi Vol said, you can tell our ladies are just on the precipice of something special. 2 losses of 3 combined points to a couple top 10 teams. If they can just continue improving on the little things. Absolutely, man. James made a good point. I noticed this too. They called a charge on LSU at one point when we had a girl in the restricted area. They
Yep.
missed that. I'm not quite sure how they missed that as well. I mean, kudos to Jillian Hollingshed for taking the charge. Kudos to her.
Yep.
But she was 100% inside the restricted area, and
But
it
they
wasn't even
called a
close.
charge. Yeah, they called a charge earlier in the game on Z Spearman, and the player was in the restricted area. I don't even think they know. I would love to ask them. Hey, do y'all know what that little semicircle in the lane's for? Or has anybody updated you all on that? I would bet half of them don't, because they don't even pay attention to it. They don't look at it. They don't think about, wait, that was right under the basket. They're in the restricted area. Like, they just call it. And that's the one thing, if you watch SEC refs, especially women's refs, that's the one thing they love to call. Like, they get into that charge call. They're gonna jump out and they're gonna throw their fist, and I mean, it's a big celebration when they get to call a charge. So, they don't pay any attention to the actual rules of the game or the restricted area. They just want to get out there and be on TV.
SEC Network Plus. Kudos again to the Lady Vols. I mean, hey, you play that well against the top 10 team from LSU. That's a good game. You had a chance to win at the end. I mean, you can't ask for much more than that. So, kudos to the Lady Vols. Still 13-2 on the season. Fantastic start to the season. Yeah. Let's talk about the men for a second. I don't want to talk more than a second about them.
and the Lady Vols get a get right game this weekend. They're going to play a bad Arkansas team, and they'll go out there and whip them. So that's going to be a good day for them.
I'll give my take on the men's game first, and then you can say what you think, because I'm betting it's probably the same thing. As we watch that game, first of all, you can't go almost 7 whole minutes to start the game without scoring. As soon as that happened, I immediately hearkened back in my mind to 2011, and I looked it up to make sure I knew the year. It was 2011. Duke and Arizona were playing in the Sweet 16. And they actually, it was caught on camera. They caught Coach K talking to, I think it was Chris Carwell as his assistant. And he turned around and looked at him, and all he said was, "It's just one of those games." You could read his lips. I mean, it's just one of those games. That game, Arizona could not miss. They literally could not miss. Every bounce was going their way. It's just one of those games. They happen sometimes, unfortunately. And as evidence of what I mean, I'll give you two plays that completely describe everything that happened in that game Tuesday night in Gainesville. Chaz Lanier, tell me if this will ever happen ever again in his life. Chaz Lanier's dribbling up the court. No one's even guarding him, really. He's just dribbling up the court, dribbles the ball off his foot directly to a Florida player who then has a wide open layup. I mean, that will never happen ever again, ever. I'll give you another one. It was in the second half. I can't remember if it was an air ball or if it just barely grazed the rim, but Florida takes a shot. The ball lands under the goal right in front of the baseline. It's going out of bounds. All we had to do was just let it go out of bounds. But instead, somebody, I can't remember if it was Meshack or Boswell, somebody was trying to save the ball back into Jordan Gainey. And he's only like maybe a foot and a half away from him. He's just handing him the ball, even though he could have just let it go out of bounds and it would have been ours. But instead, he tries to save this errant shot that's going out of bounds to Jordan Gainey. And the ball literally goes right through Jordan Gainey's hands, even though he's just handing it to him. It just goes right through his hands, directly to a Florida player, takes one dribble around and lays it in. And I'm like, there's the game right there. that wraps up this whole game in one play right there. No one, if you had told Rick Barnes before the game started that Chaz Lanier was going to have 3 really good wide open threes opportunities before the game started, one of which the closest player to him was going to be about 9 to 10 feet away from him for an open three. Rick would have said, yes, please. Thank you. I will take that. It's just one of those games. So that was my opinion. I need to work on, not letting it affect me as much at times, because I get, sometimes I can let it ruin my day, especially with football or whatever. But that one didn't even bother me by the end of it, because I knew it was just one of those games. So
yeah,
we'll never see that ever again. That's my take on it. What's your take?
yeah. Missing became contagious. It just snowballed. When we missed our first 57 shots, I knew it was going to be a long night.
Yeah. Okay, to your point right there. Think about this. Think about. It's weird to even say this out loud. They played basketball for 40 minutes in that game, and they only made 12 shots.
Yeah.
That's bizarro world, man. Like, that is the Twilight Zone. I think your daughter's 4th and 5th grade team would have shot the ball better.
They actually did. So a friend of mine today made a comment, and I hadn't even thought about it till he said it. He said, "Do you realize 12 minutes into that game, our leading scorer was Felix with 8?" Yeah, that's a problem. Nothing against Felix, but at no point should Felix ever be leading us in scoring in the first half of a game. So
that's fair.
That's not good. It's just you can't, you just gotta move on. I love that the video that the Vol basketball social account put out today was them running pick and roll attacking offense in practice, and Rick just screaming at them the whole time. And Ben McKee had a comment on it that was absolutely hysterical. It was a meme of a kid standing there with kind of giving it the side eye, and at the top of it he wrote, "Watching Vol basketball practice today." And apparently Rick was in rare form, so I think they'll be just fine.
Yeah,
They will recover. I do want to see them. I don't want to see them fall back into Dalton Connect mode. We can't go back to when all things fail, get the ball to Chaz and just get out of the way. You've got to have more people involved. The minute Jordan Gainey steps on the court, we need to start calling set plays to get him going. So there's another threat out there. I think this team has a propensity, when things get difficult, we're just going to run a bunch of stuff for Chaz and see what happens. And they need to continue to rely on their balance and versatility.
Totally agree. Tony said they play great on defense, or Meshack plays great on defense, but he needs to stop shooting threes. I was
surprised he was shooting at all because his hand's injured.
Yeah, he's got a dislocated pinky finger. Well, I mean, formerly dislocated. It's been popped back into place now, but I'm sure that still hurts quite a bit. Yeah, I agree, Tony.
He's got a wrap on. He's got a wrap on that's got it buddy taped to this one. So imagine trying to shoot the ball and you got this thing on the end of your shooting hand.
Yeah.
These two fingers don't do a whole lot in the shot, but it's still awkward and it doesn't feel right. So.
Yeah, I agree with you, Tony. He's got to, if he's going to shoot, he's got to attack the basket and try to finish with his left hand, honestly. Yeah. Bobby said, joining a little late, rewatched the men's game, and other than the fact that there was a lid on the basket, they're fine. Yeah, absolutely. There was certainly a lid the other night, for sure. Austin liked your charge comment about the SEC lady refs. He's like, they're born for that dramatic charge call.
It's the only thing they do. If you watch them, like they'll call other stuff, but it's very mild. They don't really get into it. But dadgummit, if they get to call a charge, throw up a tent and charge admission. Like here we go.
Elijah said the men's game wasn't really that bad. They just missed so many shots. Kevin said guys looked like they were individual making effort, but nothing would fall. Yeah. For sure. James said that 85-year-old ref could play better than our boys did the other night. Yeah. Rhonda said, I know every game matters, but I want us to be striking hot going into March Madness. Yeah. For sure. Absolutely. Elijah said he agrees it's just one of those games. Austin said, luckily we have an awesome sponsor in the Little Walk Club who has graciously granted us a mulligan. The sky isn't falling and there isn't a lot you can take from it with the shooting percentages.
Yeah.
Totally agree. I actually got a hat for Christmas that says legalize mulligans. I like it. That's what I'm talking about. Elijah said, I saw a stat that it was the worst shooting night by a Division I team in a very, very long time. In the last 25 years, since the turn of the millennium in 2000, there has not been a Division I basketball team that has shot worse in a game than Tennessee did Tuesday night in Gainesville. That's a trophy you want to put on your counter right there.
I will say this. If you all ever want to see something just unbelievable, tune in to hour 3 of Mac and Cube any day of the week. And they will always finish the show this time of year. They'll always finish the show with the bad box score of the day. If you thought Tennessee, Florida was bad, there are some JUCO D2, D3 games that make Tennessee, Florida look close. And they unpack the box scores on those, and some of them are just like you think they're made up. They're so bad. Like there's no way a college game ended 119 to 12. And the best part is the ad-libbing around the box score. Like they'll figure out who was the one guy who scored 6 of the 12, and they'll start going off about why couldn't you stop Greg Murphy? Like he was clearly on fire. But it would blow your mind some of the box scores that they show on there. Some of them it makes you wonder why the school even has basketball. Like it's like you need to kill the program.
Kevin said, it's one thing if one person has an off night, but when literally every single person has an off night, that's not good. I agree. Bobby said, with odds like that, we should all play the lottery. That was a freak game. That's right, Bobby. We should all go see if we can win a ticket tonight. Let's see. Kevin said, it's not just that they were missing outside shots either. They're missing everything. They couldn't. Yeah, they were missing little layups and stuff too.
Yeah, the shot chart ain't pretty. It doesn't matter where you go. It's equal opportunity. They all missed.
He said he agrees with it. It cannot be the Chaz show. I agree. Bobby said he feels feels bad for Meshack, but he's a scoring liability. That's accurate. He's not a threat shooting the ball right now for sure. Jonathan said, I think both basketball teams need to flush this week's games and not let them affect the next game. Absolutely. Totally agree. The men have another opportunity Saturday in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, and that's going to be a tough one. That's a Texas team that gave Auburn all they wanted last night.
Absolutely.
And you're in Austin. Like that's going to be a rough game. I think Kim Caldwell's actually – the Oklahoma game, she can use. Like there were parts of that video, and it was nice to watch her press conference and basically hear her say everything we were saying about it. I think they probably spent a lot of time unpacking that video. I think the breakdown of this one's going to be very different. I think she's going to be pleased with their effort. I think she's going to be pleased with a lot of their defensive transition. The reality is they just missed some key shots and key moments. But they were good looks, and they created opportunities for themselves. They won the second, third, and fourth quarter. Like I don't know if people realize that they won 3 of the 4 quarters. So I think there's a lot of positives they can take away from tonight.
Yep, absolutely. Let's see. Sam said there are a lot of physical teams in the SEC, and teams are going to take Chaz out of the game. I agree with Rustin. We need more players involved in the offense. I agree. Bobby said, I'm a basketball guy. If they played the exact same game but made their shots, it would have been a game. Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
They were open. You can't ask for better looks. They were standing wide open half the time.
Bobby said a fantastic point right here. He said, we held a high scoring Florida team to 73 points. And I'm glad you said that because actually, with 37 seconds left in the game, I tweeted out, as bad as this has been defensively, they played pretty well.
Yeah.
They held a very high, Florida scored 100 points in Rupp the other night.
Mm-hmm.
And we held them. They were at under 70 points with 37 seconds left in the game. That's pretty good defensive effort. Kevin said, "How about a Volbros T-shirt announcing I was there with the Florida score, or I witnessed that." That's great. I witnessed the worst shooting performance in this millennium. That's awesome. Well, like I said, the men do have another chance to redeem themselves this Saturday in Austin, Texas. I can't remember what time the game is, but it is Saturday at some time. I think Rustin's looking it up.
It's 6:00 on ESPN.
6:00 on ESPN, Tennessee against Texas. But we haven't talked about this yet. Me and Rustin haven't. I'll be curious to see if he thinks the same thing. We've talked about the Lady Vols. We've talked about the basketballs. But I'm going to be honest with you. The most important news today, in my opinion, that came out of Knoxville was hiring Mike Keith as the voice of the Vols. And here's why I say that. There are certain things that we can say that everybody knows exactly what we're talking about. No, sir, everybody knows immediately what you're talking about. Pandemonium reigns. Everybody knows immediately these famous calls from John Ward, and you think about like the 04 Florida game with redemption, when the makes the field goal after missing the extra point. You think about these famous calls. It is that voice behind that microphone. Things are said there that last decades upon decades upon decades. When you get that perfect call for a play, it lasts forever. And Tennessee found their guy today. What we're seeing now, these players will be here for a few years. The memories will last for a long time, obviously forever. Well, part of those memories that we hear forever are those famous words, that are being said. So, Rustin, what's your opinion about the hiring today of Mike Keith?
Kudos to Danny White. Danny's one of us. That's as simple as you can make it. When Bob Kessling announced he was retiring, everybody immediately started saying Mike Keith. It was the number one name. And in the press release today, Danny White said there was only one person they were going for. There was one person. He was the top priority, and they were going to go get him. So kudos to Danny White that he has that much of a pulse on the community and on Tennessee fans, that those iconic moments with John Ward, a lot of them Mike Keith was sitting right behind him. He was in the box for a lot.
Right.
He talks about that when Peerless caught the touchdown in the national championship game, that he was standing right behind John Ward during that call. I like a little bit of a homer as a commentator as well. I don't want my commentator. I don't want my commentator to be impartial, and that's what pro sports are for. This is college sports. You're supposed to care about your team.
It's the Vol Network.
Yeah, And I felt like at times Bob Kessling definitely tried to stay impartial and just say what he was seeing. And there were times, especially some of the most iconic moments, I wanted him to get excited more and really, really show that he's a Vol. And he just kind of would just say what he's seeing. So I'm not going to miss that. I want that homer. And honestly, I can't wait. I hope Rick Barnes, more than anything else, I hope Rick Barnes stays around for about 5 or 6 more years because the post-game basketball shows with Mike Keith and Rick Barnes are
Oh
going
yeah,
to be must-see radio, must-hear radio, must-see YouTube, whatever.
yeah.
Like, Mike Keith and Rick Barnes going back and forth at each other is going to be one of the funniest things ever.
I hadn't even thought about that yet, and you're exactly right. Because Rick gives it to Bob Kessling all the time, man. Like,
And Bob never gives it back. He just sits there and
yeah,
takes it. And
yeah,
Mike Keith will. Mike Keith will go back at him. It's going to be beautiful.
yeah. That's a good point. That's a good point. Um, just tremendous hire. Awesome video that was released today as well. That was
Yep.
really cool. Um, you know, I agree with you. You like to hear the fire and the passion in the announcer's voice. Um, that's why everybody enjoys John Wilkerson so much. There's fire and passion in his voice. When he's talking, he gets excited about what he's seeing. And
You can't hear the phrase "hello wind column" anymore without immediately seeing him. Like
yeah,
it's just
exactly.
there.
So if nothing else, Mike Keith gets excited. He gets fiery and passionate about it, and I love that. And that you have made an absolute home run hire when every single person who's a Vols fan is excited about the hire. And when you think about, here's this guy who is he's not only respected for what he does in the state of Tennessee, nationally, he is known as an excellent radio personality. And so
Oh, go look at Nashville, like the Tennessean and different media outlets in Nashville. Go look at their social pages today. Titans fans are losing their minds. They're like, we just fired our GM, our announcer just quit. There was somebody had a meme out showing their mascot committed suicide tonight. I mean, it was
oh my
there.
goodness.
There's so much stuff out there like the sky for Titans fans, the sky is falling. Like it is complete apocalypse. And
Well,
Mike Keith was just the icing on the cake.
well, I mean, like I said, he is throughout the industry. He is respected by all who know him, and it is just an absolutely first first class, top tier hire. So
And and I don't know if you
kudos to
saw it or
Danny
not.
White.
I don't know if you saw it or not, but he did an interview tonight, and somebody asked him about baseball, and he was very quick to say, "No, no, no. John Wilkerson is the voice of baseball and always will be." Like he squelched that fast. Which I love. I love that he recognizes that about his peers, and he's like, "No, I would never do that." He is the voice of baseball. Um, so good. When you think about Brian Rice doing the Lady Vols, him doing the men in football, Wilkerson doing baseball, like it doesn't get much better.
Yeah, good point. Very good point. Monica, glad you're with us. Thank you for joining us. Sandra, hey, so good. Sandra's good to have you with us. She said Zeev Spearman has to start hitting those putbacks. Yep, agreed.
She will.
Don't-
I think that's the thing that stood out the most to me. Did you see Z's reaction after she missed the one at the buzzer? They
oh
kept the
yeah,
camera on her. Like it visibly hurt her, and I like that. I like that a girl who
yeah.
wasn't on this campus 8 months ago, it hurt that much. That's a player that's going to do big things when it matters. Because this
Who
one
cares?
this one's going to be sitting in her mind, and it's going to drive her. If she had just turned and walked over to the bench and gone to the locker room or whatever, it would be understandable, but I liked seeing that visible pain. That told me a lot about who she is, and that's a player you can rely on when it matters.
Tony said, did Test Army get hurt in practice? I would assume so. I know
Yeah,
she's hurt, but
yesterday.
there you go.
Yeah, they said she's day to day. It's her ankle, and she hurt it yesterday in practice.
James said, what do you think about the Patriots firing Gerard Mayo? I hate it for him. I don't think he got a fair shake. He gets 1 year. That's it.
Replacing Bill Belichick.
Yeah. Yep. Mississippi Vols said, hit that like and subscribe button. I think that's a great idea. Fantastic advice. Let's see. Sam said, when you lose a game, the way he's talking about the men's team, expect other teams to follow the same game plan. So here's my thoughts on that. That's fine. Let them follow Florida's game plan. Florida only scored, barely crossed the 70-point margin, barely. Florida left our guys wide open for threes multiple times throughout the game. Like I said, Chaz Lanier's first three, nobody was within 9 to 10 feet of him. We just weren't hitting shots. I mean, Florida didn't do that. We did that to ourselves. And so, I mean, sure, if there is a game plan, and teams will obviously, if they see one that works effectively. But I don't know if you can say that when we're missing wide open layups and we're missing wide open threes and we're dribbling the ball off our foot to the other team when nobody's guarding us, and we're saving a pass from going out of bounds, or making a pass and we throw it right through our teammates' hands and they get an easy layup. I mean, that's not Florida. That's Tennessee doing that. So, if there is a game plan for other people to follow after that game, obviously physicality, physical defense, that kind of stuff, that would be something that they could implement. But you definitely don't want to follow their game plan, leaving Chaz Lanier wide open, best shooter in the country, leaving him wide open, nobody within 9-10 feet from him. That's not gonna help anybody. It just so happened that it was just bizarro world for one night. Nobody could hit anything. Kevin said, heck, if that Texas game is competitive, I'll consider that a positive rebound game. Austin said 6 Eastern. Yes, it would be 6 o'clock Eastern time, Saturday in Austin, Texas. Diesel 80 said John Ward is the GOAT. 100% agree. No arguments here. Tony said, now I can listen to football games on the radio again. Haven't done that since John Ward. I understand. Or Tony said that, yeah. Jonathan said, I know you talk about this a few weeks ago, but I heard ago again that Brew had another year of eligibility, was working out with Nico. Is there any truth to that? Well, I know 100% he was working out in California with Nico and Mike Matthews.
He's still in the draft. He can opt to appeal for an additional year, because apparently NCAA's giving that out like candy. If you just raise your hand and go, "Can I have one?" They say sure. So everybody's been getting eligible. I wouldn't put anything. I wouldn't say anything's impossible. I mean, Carson Beck pulled his name out of the draft today, and now it sounds like he's going to be going to Miami. So if you start looking at your draft aspects and you go, I'm probably going to get this much money, I can go next year and get that much money. I will say this is a pretty stout receiver class, so he does have a lot of competition. So it might make sense for him to wait till next year, especially if he can come get some more NIL money. And I wouldn't rule out anything.
Tony said Mike Keith will be just as good as John Ward, or at least mighty close. Tony said he doubts Brew is coming back. Diesel said, what's your favorite John Ward call? Oh my goodness gracious. Mine has to be no sirree. I mean, No, that's not. That's not. No. In a one moment, one time thing, that'd be that. But I mean, listen, you can't not think about John Ward and not hear give him 6. That is him. That's him.
Yeah, I'll
Um,
take that one.
and was
Especially if
it?
it's one where he counted down the yard lines all the way to it.
Yeah, exactly. Was it Joe Tessitore that did the homage to John Ward and said that during one of the games? I think it
Yeah.
was. Um, yeah. So yeah, that would be mine. I agree. Kevin said couldn't agree more on Rustin's comment about Danny White about being one of us. He said, did he grow up wearing orange? He just seems dyed in the wool volunteer. He gets it, right? Like he gets it. He Danny White, he understands, man. He gets it.
Mm-hmm.
Austin, really cool comment here. Rustin said Pat Ryan was Mike Keith's color analyst for the Music City Miracle Call. It's poetic justice that they get to reunite one day after the 25th anniversary of his most well-known call. That's really cool. I didn't realize that. And I didn't realize that it was the one day after the 25th anniversary. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Mr. Osborne said, "Welcome, Mr. Osborne. Good to have you." He said, "Good evening, everyone. Yes, great hire by Tennessee in bringing back Mike Keith to the Vol Network. His fandom of the Vols is the same as mine. I'm 8 months older. I followed the Vols since 1972. That's really cool." Let's see. Jonathan said, "I doubt so, but I keep seeing it. And if I could come back, and if Brew could come back, it might benefit him." Maybe.
I would say he's keeping his options open. And again, everybody has to be stopping and questioning what they're doing after what Carson Beck pulled today. That was bizarre because this
That
is
was
not a good
bizarre.
quarter. This is not a good quarterback class. Like if he had a good pro day, he could skyrocket up the draft boards. So for him not like I understand entering the portal just to keep your options open, but he withdrew from the draft. That blew my mind.
And he entered the portal with a no contact tag.
Yeah.
So
Well, they've pretty much said
he's going. Yeah, he knows
yeah,
where he's going.
they've pretty much said it's Miami. He's dating a girl on the Miami basketball roster. Um, so I think it's pretty much a done deal to Miami.
Rhonda said Titans fans are having a rough day. She said it's a huge loss to the Titans. Bobby said Titans fans calling it the worst season ever, losing Mike Keith. Austin said, "I absolutely love this. I remember him calling Todd Helton games on the Diamond back in the day, and he was awesome. I know he didn't do in baseball, but he is talented. Absolutely."
Mm-hmm.
Austin said, if Bert stays on basketball home games next year, him and Mike will be great together. Oh, yeah, for sure.
They're going to have to move press row back away from the court because those two might flip a table.
Diesel 80 said Danny White deserves a ton of credit for changing Tennessee sports. 100% agree. Could not agree more. The man has done a phenomenal job. There's
In
no
all
doubt about it.
aspects. Like people don't talk about it, but from a fundraising perspective, it is ridiculous what that man has catalyzed and what they've pulled off. Like they are raising obscene amounts of money.
Sam said, not sure Titans ownership wants to win. Just seems like more of a business they can profit from. Kevin said, I know those of you who still have bitterness towards Notre Dame probably aren't keeping up with the Orange Bowl, but the Irish have tied the game 10-all with 8 minutes left in the third quarter.
Yeah, it's actually 4.5 now. It's still 10-10.
Yeah, that was 8 minutes ago, so that's my fault. Jonathan said, as a Titans fan, I'm used to them being dysfunctional and being an embarrassment. James said, do the Titans go get Hunter with the number 1 pick?
So my son is a big Titan.
Well,
go ahead.
I'll just say I would not, whatever you think is logical, based on recent history, I would say that is not what the Titans will do.
I think we'll know what the Titans will do based on who they hire as general manager. That's going to speak volumes about what the next era of Titans football is going to look like. My son's a huge Titans fan. He was all excited about getting the number one pick. I kind of looked at him and said, "Why do you want it? Like, who was the number one pick this year? Caleb Williams. How's that worked out? There aren't a whole lot of number one picks over the years that have panned out and become superstars. The NFL is a between the tackles league. If I had the number one pick and I was the Titans, I would rather trade it and Tajay Sharp for three players. I want a veteran running back to play alongside Pollard because I don't think Tajay Sharp has much tread left on the tire. I would want a left tackle and a defender, either a lockdown corner or a solid defensive lineman. If I were the Titans, I'd be going and getting dudes that can help me right now and, pulling the wool over on somebody who thinks the number one pick has some luster. And like I say, throw Tajay Sharp in there just to make it attractive. But I think they need dudes who are going to walk in that locker room and compete right now. And Justin Hunter ain't it.
Bobby said he agreed. We had wide open looks. That's why Florida didn't stop us. We stopped ourselves because we couldn't hit water if we jumped out of a boat. Sanders said, I also feel like the girls need better shot selection because bad shots equal to transition points.
Yeah. Talasia Cooper's bad about that. And it's hard because, she hit a 15-foot jumper at one point in the fourth quarter, and as soon as she started to take the shot, I literally yelled at my TV, no, because it was just a horrible decision, but she knocked it down. So it's hard because she's going to get you in trouble at times, but at other times she's going to hit shots that you don't think she can make. I think some of that also is the system. You've got to play it, and you've really got to experience it. And game reps are the only way you can experience. Okay, I could take this shot, but I need to work it and get that shot. So I think they're still feeling that out and still figuring out, okay, where are the best shots? But again, you've also got players like Talasia Cooper, and you don't want to limit them. But at the same time, they can get you in trouble.
Tony said his favorite John Ward call was Willie Galda's running all the way to the state capitol.
Yeah.
That's a classic one. That is classic. Bobby said Ruby's mom just posted that Ruby's holding herself accountable for this loss. Like he said, like Rustin said, she'll let this driver to improvement on her way to VFL status. What an awesome team.
I love that. And honestly, I thought Ruby played excellent defense. I thought she did a great job of turning that girl, trying to force her into uncomfortable situations. And the girl threw up a sideways left-handed hook shot, pat her on the back and say, nice job. I'll get you the next time. I love that Ruby's taken ownership of that, but I thought she played really good defense on that possession.
Absolutely. Tony said Bernard is another famous John Ward call. Bernard King from 18 feet. Buy your tickets. Austin said pandemonium reigns, or ladies and gentlemen, Willie Galt is running all the way to the state capitol. Were my two favorite John Ward calls. Pandemonium reigns is legendary. That's a legendary one. Diesel 80 said Tennessee beating Florida in the rain. It's a downpour. Legendary John Ward call. Jonathan said the Titans will probably draft a long snapper or punter, maybe a kicker with the number one pick. Austin said they don't have a chance of hiring a good GM when they aren't going to be given a GM role. They can't hire anyone with a GM already on the resume. Jonathan said, with Rustin proposing that trade, can he be the GM of the Titans?
I would be more than happy to entertain that. First act of business will be trading away Will Levis for a pack of Marlboros and $3,000.
Marlboro, not a sponsor. Let's see. Sanders said, we were up 2 points and had the ball. Why take a quick three, run the offense? Yep. Well, that is kind of Kim's offense a little bit.
But, same thing. Couple possessions later, And I honestly, every time Talasia Cooper takes a three, I cringe because it's not pretty. So she takes an ill shot one possession. 3 possessions later, she comes out trailing, and they hit her on the break trailing. She's wide open, and she knocks down a three, and it's like, all right, you just got to take the good with the bad. It is what it is.
Jewel Spear has a pretty shot. Like when she shoots the ball, she's got great form. That's why it goes in so frequently. Talasia Cooper has had great results, but it is not a pretty, what you would call a pretty shot.
Nope.
It's more like a sling. She's slinging it up there like a slingshot.
And she has a tendency. She has a tendency of rotating her elbow some. So sometimes the ball comes out nice. Sometimes it comes out like a knuckleball. Sometimes it comes out with a side spin. And it's like, holy cow, somebody get her in a gym and force her to shoot the ball the same way every time.
Yeah.
It's so hard to watch.
Bobby said, I'd love to have a men's and women's watch party with the Volbros community. I'd rather hear what you all have to say than any ESPN announcer. Yeah, that'd be fun. James said, I wouldn't have played so far up on the last possession. When the LSU player got her on her hip, I knew she was scoring. Yeah, I mean, she threw up that awkward offhand shot and it went in. I'd be curious to know the percentage if she did that 10 times, how many times it would go in.
Even when she got her on her hip, though, Ruby actually recovered and forced her to spin back to the middle. She did not want to take that left-handed shot. That was next option when her first option dissolved on her. I don't think Ruby could have played it much better.
Sam said, biggest thing I think the girls need to improve on is help defense and not getting beat back down the court. Transition defense is definitely the biggest weakness in my opinion.
But even from Oklahoma to tonight, I thought they got better. Like they clearly got on the film. They clearly talked about what they need to be working on. Like I saw improvements there.
James said the Titans need to trade Will Levis for Hendon Hooker. There'd be a lot of
we
Tennessee
could trade
fans
Will Levis for a jar of mayonnaise, and it'd be about the same.
He'd eat it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, historic day, and I don't use that term lightly. I mean it. Like this has been a historic day for Tennessee athletics because for all of us who are watching right now, our ancestors, our kids, their kids, they're going to have moments like we had tonight. Like, what was your favorite John Ward call? Where they're going to be saying, well, what was your favorite Mike Keith call? All the things that we said tonight as what was our favorite call of his, all of those things happened over 20 years ago, all of them. And you think about that compared with Mike Keith being hired today. No joke. In the year 2047 or 2052 or 2063, there could be a Tennessee YouTube podcast happening. I don't know if the Volbros will still be on air in 2063. We would be the 85-year-old guy calling the 4th and 5th grade girls basketball game at that point. But there will be people asking the same thing. What was your favorite Mike Keith call? And that's a cool thing when you stop and think about it. And so today was a historic day. It really was. And all of us alive right now in 2025, we all got to witness that history made today. So it's an exciting thing. It's an exciting thing for Vol Nation. Really, really a cool thing.
So I was just looking at the box score from the Lady Vols tonight because Sandra's just made a comment that made me look at it. She said we should have double teamed her and got the ball out of her hand. She was the only one who killed us all night. So I'd have to go back and watch it and see who was on that side of the floor. Depending on who was on that side of the floor, maybe double team, but I don't ever like to leave people open in those situations. But I was just looking back at the box score, and I don't think the announcers noticed this because I don't remember them mentioning it. Did you realize Anissa Morrow had 23 points and 21 rebounds? She had a 2020 double double.
Well, I know at one point when she got injured, they said she's getting close to a 2020 game.
She ended up with 23 points, 21 rebounds. You know, and it wasn't just Kaylin Gilbert. She had 22. She had a great night, but Flau'jae Johnson had 20. McKay Williams had 16. Anissa Morrow had 23. Like they had other girls that were hurting us. I don't. It's been a long time since I saw a 2020 double double. That's an
That's
impressive
impressive.
night.
Yeah, that's really impressive. I'm not upset about that last second shot by them at all because I mean the
Mm-mm.
girl flipped it up with her offhand over her left shoulder,
Yeah,
almost not even looking at the basket. That's not going in 90% of the time. It was just she just got lucky and it worked out for her. Mr. Osborne said, "For my late father, it was Lindsey Nelson. Absolutely, the original voice of the Vols. Absolutely." That he grew up with. I remember watching him call cotton balls. Legendary, legend, Lindsey Nelson, for sure. Um, Sanders said we shut Morrow down in the second half. She barely scored.
yeah. I
Uh,
thought Jillian. That's why it was a quiet 2020. I thought Jillian Z did a good job on her, but I thought Jillian did a really good job on her. I thought she played extremely well.
SEC football, welcome, buddy. He said just joined. What a tough loss for the Lady Vols. Didn't like the last play call. They had plenty of time to get off a jump shot. Um, but I mean, if you get the ball literally right under the basket with 0.9 seconds left, that's a high percentage look, and they just unfortunately didn't hit it. And what was interesting was they drew up a play thinking there was only 0.7 seconds left, and then they come out to run the play and they get awarded 0.2 more seconds. I do wonder if that would have changed the play at all, or if they would have run the same thing. I mean, it's hard to argue with the results of what they ran. They got a look less than 2 feet away from the goal. I mean, that's pretty good.
It really wouldn't have mattered because it's a catch and shoot no matter what. And I mean, you don't know if the person, the ref sitting at the table is going to have a quick trigger. Like you don't know how fast they're going to start the clock on that. So,
Yep.
um, you just gotta run what you called and get the shot up.
Yep. Which, I mean, like I said, 2 feet from the basket. I think anybody would take that any day of the week. Um, we have enjoyed this tonight for sure. I'm gonna go watch the end of that Notre Dame game now. See,
They just started the fourth quarter, still tied at 10.
so it sounds like it's going to wind up being a good ending to that one. So I'm going to go watch that. We will be live again Sunday night. Sunday night, 9:00 Eastern on YouTube, X, and Facebook. We do appreciate everybody joining us tonight. This has been a lot of fun. We got 428 people on all three platforms right now. That's really awesome. Thank you all so much. Yeah, Sanders said it was a good call. Spearman just needed to hit the layup. Yeah, like I said,
Had
if you
two
get a
point blank shots in the last 40 seconds. You got to knock them down.
yep, absolutely. If you get a look 2 feet from the goal, that you can't argue with that for sure. Bobby said, "Awesome night, guys. Thank you. Hey, we appreciate you, Bobby, so much, man. Bobby, I know that you are
Touchdown Notre Dame.
Oh wow, Bobby, I know you're really getting a lot of snow right now, so I hope you're safe, man. I hope you still got power. For everybody in Vol Nation who's going to be getting snow tonight, all across the southeast, we hope you're safe. We hope that you don't lose any power. uh, Stay safe on the roads. And oh my goodness, for all of you, if you're watching from California, and especially if you're in the Los Angeles area, we really hope you're safe. Just devastating what the footage. And I know we have a very good friend who lives right in the middle right now. My wife, she's a good friend of my wife and me. And, she lives right in the middle of two of the fires. One of them was put out today, which is good, but the Palisades fire is dangerously close to her house right now, and so they're about to have to make some really tough decisions. But Jacqueline, if you watch this, I doubt she does, but um, we certainly hope that you are okay, and we're gonna pray that you are. Um, let's see. Mr. Osborne said, "Great show, Vol Bros. Thank you. Hey, we appreciate you, Mr. Osborne." Sanders said, "Good night, guys." Hey, thank you, Sanders, so much for joining us. We appreciate you. Sam said, "Great show, Vol Bros." Hey, we appreciate you too, Sam. Thank you, man. Bobby said, "They're good. Good. I'm glad." He said, "Praying for you all in California." We appreciate it, man. We're supposed to get in Chattanooga tonight. We're supposed to, depending on what weather outlet you look to, it's anywhere from 2 to 8 inches. That's
which means it's going to rain.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So who knows? Who knows what we're going to get? I mean, like I said, you look at one outlet, they say 2 inches. You look at another, they say it could be up to 8. So who knows? We're gonna get something. I know that's all I know. Rhonda said, "Great show. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Go Vols!" Absolutely. We hope all of you join us Sunday night. You know, when we meet again on Sunday night, we'll have another basketball men's and women's game to talk about. So we look forward to seeing everybody then. Have a great evening and go Vols.